my friends, are you pumped? Are you ready? Can you smell it in the air? Because it is time for AEW's All Out, which I think is like their WrestleMania, but that could also be Double or Nothing. I'm not sure. I can never figure it out because it's still brand new days. I think we all forget this. AEW, in terms of a weekly television company, isn't even a year old. That will happen next month, so I still get the fire in my loins, saying that I always get fire in my loins. People say it to me all the time, Simon, you like everything. As if that's a bad thing. I'm driving my cloud to happy time. But before we do get there, we have to run down the card and try and predict the show. So that is what I, Simon Miller here on WhatCulture Wrestling, are going to do today. Will I get things right? No. Will I get them wrong? Yes. Will you remind me? Absolutely. Do I care? No, I don't. Let's predict All Out 2020. We will start with the buy-in or pre-show match that we know is going to be Brit Baker versus Big Swole in a tooth and nails match. Now, by the time you see this, I'm sure All Elite Wrestling would have actually explained what that stipulation means, but from what people have said and rumors flying around the internet, it sounds like it's a cinematic match that's going to take place in a dentist's office, which of course belongs to Brit Baker. Wrestling is great. And I know it's quite upsetting and it's quite disappointing, but it just means that Brit Baker wasn't able to get back to 100%, so this is what AEW is doing, all things considered. You can't get mad at that. Sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches. However, I will say this. If we are going to do a match in the dentist's office, which is where Brit Baker lives, I suppose, doesn't have a house, she does that, then however you win, she has to win. I love Big Swole. I like Brit Baker more, but I like Big Swole, but this is not her time. She should win in a wrestling match, but anything to do with dentistry has to go to Baker. And if that's not the case, then my name isn't Simon Jeremy Miller. That's right, my middle name's Jeremy. Every time I say it, somebody loses their mind. I didn't make that decision, it was my stupid parents. Not true, they're not stupid. So yeah, it's quite hard to predict this because I don't know what you have to do. Maybe you have to remove a tooth, maybe you have to remove somebody's nail. You tell me, I don't have a clue, but I will say Brit Baker has a nice day and wins. Can win. I don't know. Talking about crazy stipulations that have come out of nowhere, we're also going to get a broken rules match between Matt Hardy and Sami Guevara, and my word is a lot on the line here. Now, I think it's just a last man standing match, which means you have to beat up your opponent and they have to answer the count of 10, and if they can't, you suck and you lose. But if Matt Hardy is on the defeated end, he is never allowed to return to AEW. Now, this is actually quite interesting with somebody like Matt Hardy, because you've got Matt Hardy, you've got version 1, you've got broken Matt Hardy, maybe you're going to get Goat Hardy at one point, he's going to come and go, yeah, I'm a goat. That's not the noise goats make, but maybe this is going to be some kind of new character, but that also kind of undermines that stipulation, and as far as I am aware, AEW has never done it, but also you don't want Sami Guevara to lose because he's up and coming superstar. This one has me perplexed. And also, these two are one-on-one, right? I think that's correct. Sami Guevara definitely won that tables match. So yeah, I don't know which direction we're going to go. But usually with these things, unless Matt Hardy is going to leave AEW, and he's only been there 7 minutes, so that would be nuts, he has to win. And I guess if he does like a major move to Sami Guevara, who by the way will absolutely take something crazy, because the man is nuts, it doesn't really hurt him, doesn't affect him, he didn't tap out, he didn't get pinned, he just got murdered by Matt Hardy, and he wasn't able to stand up at 10. Really, when you break it down, that sounds like a kid's game anyway. Matt Hardy will win, we'll stay in AEW, and we'll still all think Sami Guevara is great. We're also going to get the Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks, and of course they got this honor, or whatever you want to call it, after they won their tag team match on AEW Dynamite. But given that Matt and Nick Jackson are now massive assholes because they can't believe everything that happened with Hangman Page, well, this one now has a lot more meaning. Now, surely whatever's going to happen here is also going to tie into what's going to happen with the World Tag Team title match later, but if we assume that this one goes on first, here's how it has to go down. The Young Bucks should win, but they should do so by, dare I say it, cheating or doing something a little underhanded, or just doing something because they're so wound up and mad. Because if you do that, at this stage you'll be like, oh no, they're going heel, or they're going down the wrong pathway, somebody needs to save them, and then you'll feel really bad for Luchasaurus because he's been doing this for 65 million years and he still can't get a win. Also the best person in AEW, they talk about it more, woohoo, hey, you go get them. But that will just, it will create so much suspense and so much tension to whatever is going to happen between FTR, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, and that to me, that's just the way you structure a card. You should go like this. New Japan does it the best. It starts up here, and by the time you get to the main event, you are actually ready to explode. So the Young Bucks have to win, that's fine. It's just not the the Jurassic Express's time at the moment. They'll get there, they both absolutely rock. Then, of course, we move on to that match, which is the AEW Tag Team Champions Hangman Page and Kenny Omega taking on FTR. Now, somebody here, you have to imagine, is going bad guy for real. My choice would be Kenny Omega. He becomes the cleaner again. But he not only screws over Adam Page, he beats up FTR, he beats up Tully Blanchard, he beats up the Bucks, he goes and fights Cody Corpse, and he beats up that guy too. I just want him to become the biggest badass in the world before he goes after the AEW World title. Somebody had to say it, and it was me. It would also mean that FTR do indeed become the World Tag Team Champions, and regardless what we do here, I think that is almost a lock. That way you can then build those guys versus the Young Bucks, which also has to be a lock, and a match we've been waiting for around about 122 years. But outside of that, you can argue this whatever you want. Maybe Adam Page screws over Kenny Omega and goes proper bad guy and joins FTR. Maybe I'm wrong about Kenny and he joins FTR and we get the Four Horsemen. You tell me? I don't know. But that's why All Out to me is this really special event that I can't wait for, because this match alone, which is a tag team match, and look, I love WWE, but the tag team division ain't as good as this. I can't wait. But what I will say is that FTR will win, and there are a couple of buttholes. Talking about big tag team matches, we're also getting Dark Order versus Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and the Natural Nightmares. And if you've been on Twitter recently, the former Zack Ryder has been making these little hints that maybe he is going to join the Dark Order. Now, I think that would be nuts, because to me, he's just like a baby face made out of clay. I don't know. It's kind of difficult to pick as well, because you don't want Cardona to lose. You don't want Scorpio Sky to lose, so I suppose one of the Natural Nightmares could take the pin. But on the Dark Order side, they now feel more threatening than ever. Of course, Brody Lee absolutely whooped Cody's ass, and he is now the TNT champion. So does he take the pin? Does Colt Cabana do something? Does Anna Jay? Once again, there's lots of questions here. And I don't actually think I have any of the answers. But I will back my boys from the Dark Order, and yes, I'm willing to be recruited should they so want me. But ping QT Marshall or Dustin Rhodes. That's no disrespect to them, but I just think Scorpio Sky especially has such an upside. We should be nurturing that and rubbing their shoulders. But I also think this is going to tie into other stories, which again, AEW has been doing really well at. Up next is the Casino Battle Royal, and I know that like Lance Archer's in it, and Brian Cage is in it, and Ricky Stark's in it, and Darby Allin's in it, and Billy Gunn's in it, and a bunch of other people are in it, but we don't know every single person, or I don't at least anyway. I don't have a magical ball that I can look into that tells me this information. So I'm just going to throw a random name out there, and it's someone that I want to be used more on Dynamite, so why the hell not? Give it to Lance Archer. Now, I don't think they will do that, because I can see Darby Allin actually coming out of this with his hand raised, although if you were going to do a feud between him and Ricky Starks, they can just take each other out in some nuts way, and then you don't have to worry about it. But seriously, Lance Archer had this really good build, this really good story, where he did build to this match with Cody in the TNT title, and ever since then he's crushed a few jobbers and looked at Jake Roberts like, man, what are you talking about squirrels for? Or when they get bored, he just like writes everybody dies on Jake's back. I mean, that's all well and good, and I'm glad they're having fun, but come on, win some damn matches. The only thing that worries me about that is that whoever does win this gets a shot at the AEW World title, and Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley, if he does retain, is awesome on paper. I don't want Lance to lose again. I want him to be chucking people into ceilings. We saw it once, and it was pretty darn good. So yes, that's my random pick, and there's probably going to be some kind of surprise here, like Brian Cage at the last pay-per-view. But again, I gotta do the best I can. I can't just pick names out my ass. That's disgusting anyway. And if I was, of course you know what I'd do. I would choose Repo Man. I'm a fool. The AEW Women's title is also on the line as Shida takes on Thunder Rosa. And again, if Dynamite has told us anything this week, this could be the best women's match we have seen in AEW since it puffed into existence. I think you gotta keep it nice and simple too. Keep the belt on Shida. Make sure they have a top draw match that gets people talking, but ensure that Shida gets the nice clean win, but also have another challenge ready for her, either at All Out, maybe she can get attacked by somebody afterwards, or on Wednesday's Dynamite. That's all you gotta do. Keep it nice and simple. The build to this has been a little bit, well, it's been simple, but that's fine. But I think this will entertain. I think it will be good. I think it will be somewhat of a technical masterpiece, but you've got to make sure the stories are ready to go. Also, make sure you sign Thunder Rosa to a deal. If you have worked out some kind of handshake agreement with NWA or whatever, still, Shida retains. Thunder Rosa proves she's a good wrestler. It's a night of first two, as we are going to get the Mimosa Mayhem match, which, I don't know, maybe you watch these videos to be caught up. That's a third weird stipulation on this show. It's not really like AEW, but whatever. You are going to have a vat of orange juice and champagne, which makes a mimosa, on the outside of the ring. And while you can win by pinfall or submission, you can also get the victory by grabbing your opponent and just throwing them into some booze. What I would like you to do today is go out, find some random person that doesn't watch wrestling, and try and explain this, and let me know how hard they slap you in the face. Now, surely the only reason we have built this in is because it allows Orange Cassidy to chuck Jericho into it. That's a moment you can replay, and Chris can come out on Dynamite all mad. But also, he didn't really lose the match, now did he? This ties into the Matt Hardy and Sami Guevara thing. So it does paint Orange Cassidy as a big star, but you don't take anything away from Jericho either. So that's all I got. That's what I think is going to happen. I think there's going to be a lot of nonsense. I think the best friends will get involved. I think Santana or Ortiz will get involved, because obviously they're having a feud too, which would explain why they had their match on Dynamite and they're not doing it here. But it ends with Jericho in the mimosa going, "I hate you, Orange Cassidy!" Just screaming and getting super mad, and then he'll play Judas or something. But you shouldn't do that, because his guitar will go zzz, and it will fizz out, because you shouldn't have that in liquid. Point is, in a 3-match feud, Cassidy will be 2-1 up, but there's also a get-out clause. Fine. Which brings us to our AEW World Championship match, and it's just a round of applause for AEW, because I don't know who's going to win. I really don't. I think you can make arguments for both. John Moxley, to me, is an absolutely fantastic champion. He could hold it for another year. He's got a bunch of dudes he could take on. But if you gave it to MJF now, especially after his crazy turn on Dynamite, well, strike when the iron is hot. I actually think you could start painting him as a top star. You also have out of nowhere options. Maybe you want Wardlow to do something, and then that starts a feud between Wardlow and MJF. It seems a little bit too soon to me, but whatever. I honestly don't know though. I don't know how it's going. I think it's going to be quite hard hitting. I think it's going to be quite brutal. I think it's going to be quite violent again, so that we do see this new side of Maxwell and we can believe in him even more as a wrestler. But deep down, I know the paradigm shift is banned too, but that probably means I've just come up with some crazy finish. Deep down, I don't think they're going to take the belt off John Moxley. I've never been so unconfident in anything in my entire life, even when I had a swimming meet when I was a kid, and I'd never swam before, but people just pushed me in, and away I went, almost drowned, don't worry about it. But I think John Moxley is going to retain. I just think there's an upside here, and I think in 2021, we can come back to this when you finally do give it to MJF. But look, let me tell you this, let me just double down. If you do give it to Maxwell, I ain't going to be mad. I think he's ready. Why the hell wait any longer? Going to contradict myself and say that John Moxley will win. How, I don't know. What if he does hit the paradigm shift because he's mad? Does that mean he loses the match and the title? Because maybe he could do that. It's much like a Christian Randy Orton situation, remember? "Oh, Randy, you can't get DQ'd." And then he smacked him in the balls, and Christian was like, "Oh, my testicles, but I'm happy because I'm the champ." Maybe we do that. I actually have no clue. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know your predictions for AEW All Out. I need as much as I can get, because I think there's a few matches here that could be absolute fire. Then like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here. Do it on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for watching me as always. Enjoy it all out. I will be back on Sunday to up those downs for that pay-per-view. And until then, have a nice life. Way too much.